Hello, and welcome back to High Velocity Copywriting. This is Roy Furr, and now it's time to dive into what we're going to write. And I alluded to or mentioned previously that you absolutely want to focus on knowing what you're going to say and really developing what you're going to say and developing a message that you're passionate and excited about prior to writing, and that will lead to faster writing, also better writing. And that can be best summed up in the big idea of a big idea. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today is really nailing down that core big idea that you're going to convey. We're going to be talking about how to really focus in on that one thing that you're going to talk about that is going to move the market to be interested in your message, and from that interest in your message to respond to the offer that you put in front of them. So I want to start with a little bit of context here. In a moment, I'm going to talk about the what I identified in the process of coming up with this program as the three big ideas, really the only three categories of big idea that are behind all highly effective, persuasive messages. But even prior to that, or as an underlying foundation of that, I want to address this concept of reactive versus proactive demand. And you can think about this like looking something up in the yellow pages versus having an advertisement that interrupts you and is put in front of you that captures your interest and encourages you to take action. So you can either have a situation where your prospects are seeking you out, or where they are, where they're interrupted by the idea of something better, something bigger. And first, I want to talk about reactive demand fulfillment, because this really functions as one of the most common types of marketing and advertising that you see out there, although it's probably the hardest to scale. Reactive demand fulfillment represents being the website that shows up on Google with a product that your prospect wants to buy, that your prospect is searching for, and you go out there and fulfill that demand. It represents being in the yellow pages when they're looking up a specific service provider. It represents any situation where your prospect really has a problem that they want to have solved, and you are there for them. And reactive demand fulfillment, the way that you speak to that, the way that you address that, is you talk about the urgent problem that they're having. And so, for example, our city here, Lincoln, Nebraska, was recently hit with a big storm that was a very intense thunderstorm that came through and knocked down a whole bunch of trees, made holes in a bunch of people's roofs, did a whole bunch of damage. There was a truck that we drove by that had pretty much an entire tree that had dropped straight down on top of it. And in a situation like that, the urgent problem that somebody has is, for example, down tree limb removal. And so you can't come to that person with some big idea that's off in the ether as far as what they are interested in, and just talk about that big idea. You have to speak to the problem that they have. If I'm out looking for tree removal for the limb that fell in my backyard, you need to speak to that problem if you want to get my attention, if you want to get my interest, and you need to promise to solve it in a way that is really relevant to me. Or, hail damage to your roof, hole in your roof from a tree falling through. We fix holes in roofs. That's an urgent problem that somebody has that you can speak to. And that is reactive demand fulfillment. Now, on the other side of that, there is proactive demand generation. And this is what a lot of us think of when we think of the really big, exciting, direct response marketing campaigns, because these are the campaigns that go out there and speak to a cold audience and are able to convert them to first-time customers for a product or service that doesn't really represent fulfilling a need, but more represents a want or a desire, or some kind of forward-looking demand that somebody has. And so in the context of proactive demand generation, you are either going to present your prospects, your market, with a new and 10 times better opportunity. That is the opportunity to pursue something big and exciting in the future that they did not have an opportunity to pursue before. Or you're going to make a life-changing prediction, a prediction of something good that's going to happen that they're going to want to take advantage of, or a prediction of something bad that's going to happen that they are going to need to respond to. And so when we are looking at reactive demand fulfillment, really we're talking about solving an urgent problem that somebody has that they're actively looking for a solution to. And when we're talking about proactive demand generation, we're talking about presenting a new opportunity for someone to take advantage of, reaching out to them and putting that opportunity in front of them, or making a prediction that they're going to have to respond to. That suddenly generates the demand for your product or services. Now, what's not here that is commonly used as a selling message? Well, what's not here is better. Better is generally not compelling enough. To be able to do something a little bit better is not a good reason for somebody to stop what they're doing and take advantage of your products or services. A 10x better opportunity, an opportunity to do something new, to go somewhere new, to experience something new, that is something that people will pursue. Just incremental, better improvements, whether that would be best for them or not, is not something that really generates a massive marketing response. So we're looking for a big idea that is either going to address reactive demand fulfillment or proactive demand generation. So we're looking for a big idea that is an urgent problem that we can solve in a preeminent way. Our prospects, our market have a problem that we can solve in a way that is better than the other options that are available to them in the marketplace. Or we're looking for a new and 10x better opportunity that we can introduce our prospects and our market to. We're looking for an opportunity that we can put in front of them that represents a different path than they are on now, that will open up a brand new world to them. Or we're looking for a prediction of an imminent life-changing event we can help them navigate. This is most of the most famous, like really big idea packages in and promotions and campaigns in the financial newsletter space have been predictions of an imminent life-changing event. such as Stansberry's End of America and Aftershock from Newsmax and Plague of the Black Death, that was one of the Agora divisions. These prediction promotions are really effective in economic terms. But I've also used predictions to sell all sorts of other things as well. If you see something coming to you from the future, and it's either something good that your prospect will want to take advantage of, and you can prove that it's coming, or something bad that they're going to need to protect themselves from, that can be a highly effective big idea. So again, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Again, these are the three big ideas that represent that represent the only three big ideas that function as the entire foundation for what is effective to start a persuasive selling message. So you are going to help them solve an urgent problem. You are going to provide a preeminent solution to an urgent problem that they face. You are going to present them with a new and 10 times better opportunity, an opportunity to get access to some future possibility that they currently are not able to get access to. Or you're going to make a prediction of an imminent life-changing event that you can help them navigate. And those three things, problem, opportunity, prediction, almost no matter how you get into your sales message, those are the three underlying big ideas, big idea categories that represent the foundation of nearly every majorly persuasive message out there. So if you take nothing else from this program, you will become a more effective, better copywriter by focusing on these three things. Finding a way that you can present an urgent problem, finding a way that you can present a 10x better opportunity, finding a way that you can make an imminent prediction of a life-changing event. And if you can find a way to work one of those three big ideas into your promotion, your marketing campaign, whatever it is that you do, you will become a more effective copywriter, and you will also write faster, because these tend to be very inspiring ideas that can drive you forward in writing your persuasive message and putting together your persuasive message. Now, it's very important in the context of having this big idea to speak to your target audience, your prospect, and you're speaking to them about the conversation that's going on in their head right now. And specifically, you're speaking to them about their beliefs. Whether you're presenting a problem or an opportunity or a prediction, you are presenting it in such a way that they're going to have reactions to it. And those reactions are going to be based on all the beliefs that they come to the table with. And so as you think about what your message is going to be and how you're going to present it, you need to understand your market and their beliefs first. And that needs to be first and foremost as you think about how you are going to craft this message. And so you have to ask yourself a lot of questions, and you're probably going to want to either take significant notes here, or you're going to want to download this mind map and have it available to you as an easy reference guide for the questions that you have to ask yourself about your prospect and their beliefs. So what does my prospect believe, both good and bad, about? And we're going to go through these fairly quickly. But what do they believe about the problem or opportunity or prediction that I'm putting forward. Now, if you're doing this right, the problem, the opportunity, especially if we're talking opportunity or prediction, these are going to feel fairly new to them, but they're going to have certain beliefs, both good and bad, about problems, opportunities, and predictions, like whatever you are presenting. What do they believe about the other solutions that are available to them in the marketplace? The other, products or services or do-it-yourself solutions that are out there in the context of the market or industry that you're in. What do they currently believe, good or bad, about the necessity of a solution? Do they not like that they have to solve this problem right now? Do they really feel good about the necessity of pursuing a specific opportunity? What do they believe about the necessity of a solution in your market? What do they believe about the general possibility of a solution? So, for example, somebody can believe, there are ways to lose weight. And that is the general possibility of a solution. This is not saying they believe that they can lose weight. This is saying there are ways to lose weight, or there are ways to get rich. Not that I can get rich, but there are ways to get rich. There are ways to build a highly successful business. There are ways to have good relationships. Not personal. Again, we're talking about what do they believe about the possibility of a solution. It's a high hurdle to overcome if they don't believe that there's the possibility of a solution. It's not that you can't overcome it, but it's a high hurdle to overcome. And so you have to address the belief or lack thereof in the possibility of a solution. You have to understand where they're coming from there. And then there's the personal possibility of a solution. Do they believe that they can get rich quick? Do they believe that they can be a successful investor? Do they believe that they can lose weight? Do they believe, whatever your product or service is, do they believe they can have a healthy relationship with their significant other? What do they believe about the personal possibility of a solution? What do they believe about their ability to solve it themselves? If you're dealing with somebody who is adamantly self-reliant, you may actually struggle to sell them or have to approach selling them in a different way versus if they don't believe that they could solve it themselves. If they believe they need help, that message that you're going to communicate with them is going to look very different. So understanding that up front will help you speak to them in a way where they resonate better and where they're more likely to have open ears about what it is that you're going to offer and the decision to respond. What do they believe about the inevitability of their current situation? Do they feel like their current situation is out of their control? Do they feel like, it was inevitable that they were successful and so anybody that can help them become more successful is it's something they could do anyway? What do they believe about the inevitability of their current situation? What do they believe about the reasons why they're in this situation? Is it somebody else's fault? Is it their fault? What do they believe? What do they believe about all the contributing factors that have brought them to now? Tied to that, what do they believe about their victimhood surrounding the situation? Do they feel like they're a victim of circumstance, a victim of their environment, a victim of their relationships, a victim of certain opportunities being withheld? What do they believe about that? And how will you have to speak to that in the context of your message? What do they believe about other businesses like yours? Have they had bad customer experiences with other businesses in your category or selling a particular product or service type? If they've hired copywriters before, what's their experience been like? If you're selling your freelance copywriting services, if you are selling investment advice, what's been their experience purchasing products from other investment publishers? What do they believe about other businesses like yours? What do they believe about other marketers, experts, authorities like you, whoever the voice is for the presentation? They're coming to the table with a certain set of preconceived notions about people like you. What do they believe about people like you? What do they believe about others who give them advice on the situation? And here we're looking beyond marketers, people looking to sell them things. We're looking to we're looking at, what do they believe about let's say their current financial advisor. If you're selling investment advice, is their current financial advisor on top of all the best investment opportunities? Do they believe that? Or do they believe their current investment advisor is a dolt? And if they didn't bring the best investment opportunities to them, they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't have any good investments in their portfolio at all. What do they believe about their brother or their sister who gives them relationship advice? What do they believe about anybody else who has their ear in the context of the situation that you are going to address? What do they believe about how the problem relates to their identity? And so, this could be their religious identity. It could be their political identity. It could be their career identity. It could be any kind of specific identity that's relevant to their to the message that you're putting forward. How do they believe? What do they believe about how the problem that you address, the solution that you provide, relates to their identity? So, if their identity is, let's say, a value investor. It's a topic that I've written about a lot, investing. So I use it often as examples, although I try to use other examples as well. If you're speaking to a value investor, though, somebody who believes that they should buy companies when the market has made the price low relative to the actual value of the company, selling that person on a growth stock that's already overvalued in traditional value terms, that solution does not jive with their identity as an investor. And so you have to say, how you have to recognize if a solution that you're putting forward doesn't jive with the identity that the person holds for themselves, that you're going to have to speak to them in a different way, or you're going to have to focus your message on people whose identity does jive with the solution that you are providing. If somebody tries to sell me branding and image advertising services, I immediately, because my identity is that of a direct marketer, I immediately have a high level of skepticism and am prone to rejecting their sales pitch just because it does not jive with my identity. What do they believe about how doing business with you would relate to their identity? Somebody who is adamant in that they only like to buy products that are made in the USA. If all of your products are manufactured in China, what does that mean to their identity? So again, these are just things that give you context for how you're going to present your big idea to your specific target market. What do they believe about how buying your product or service would relate to their identity? What do they believe about, this is important, how the news relates to your message? And so if you are going to make a prediction about something that's going to happen in the economy in the next 12 months, but all the news that's out there in the marketplace says something different, all the news that they're reading says something different, you have a higher burden of proof. You are going to have to be even more compelling to support whatever your prediction is if you want to overcome that incongruous juxtaposition between news that says one thing and your prediction that says another. If you are going to present an opportunity for building a business in the next 3 years around a certain XYZ, but all the news is saying that the market is crashing and businesses can't succeed in today's market and whatever, you're going to have to be able to address that in your message. What do they believe about how social and community factors impact your message? So what do they believe, if there's a social trend against something or factors in their community against something, how does that impact how you present your message? What do they believe about how political factors impact your message? Obviously, as I am recording this training in 2017, the last election in the United States represented a big shift change in the politics of the United States. And a lot of people believe a lot of things around this big political change. But if you are presenting something in today's environment, if it has anything to do with politics, you have to be aware what your prospect believes, both good and bad, about how political factors are impacting your message. What do they believe about the situation in relation to their current level of wealth, how it's going to impact their wealth going forward? What do they believe about the situation and how it relates to their wealth? What do they believe about the situation and how it relates to their health? Are they able to take advantage of your opportunity because they're healthy, or do they feel like their health is going to be a limitation? What do they believe about the situation in relation to their relationships with others? And what do they believe about the situation in relation to their life experiences? So these are a lot of questions that really should at the very least bounce around in your head. And again, you can refer to the mind map for these and run through these questions and start to ask yourself how all of this impacts your selling message and your presentation of the big idea, whether it is a problem, an urgent problem, a prediction that you're making, or a new opportunity that you're presenting. All of these belief patterns that currently exist in your market, in your prospect, will impact how they respond to whatever big idea you're going to put in front of them. And so it helps to have a very solid understanding of that before you sit down to write. Now let's talk about researching beliefs, how you can really start to understand the beliefs of your market. First and foremost, in any market today, pretty much any market, you can find ample forums and gathering places online, Facebook groups, Reddit, subreddits, dedicated forum sites where people are gathering and discussing your topic, your industry, your market, and spending some time before you actually sit down and write to your market, going through the forum posts, going through and recognizing, what the controversies are, what the belief biases are, recognizing how people think, how they talk, how they interact in those forums will really help you be able to speak to those people in a better way. And by being more comfortable with your voice, you will be able to write to them quicker and better. Plus, you can pick up all sorts of little topics and phraseology and different items that will help you speak to that market in a very effective way and write quickly. The same goes for social media. You can study social media. You can participate in discussion forums. You can look at the communication on Facebook threads. You can do all of that to really start to understand the beliefs of your market. You can also dive into other marketing that's currently successful out in your marketplace. And it's very smart to look at other marketing, not just to get ideas about how to present ideas and all of that, but to get an idea of the undercurrent of what is working right now. In in the context of financial marketing, for example, there tends to be this back and forth between fear promos and greed promos, real negative promos that work really well for a while and like, okay, you have to protect yourself. And then real positive promos that work for a while and like, here's a great opportunity to seize, to take advantage of. And there's this back and forth, and it doesn't necessarily relate one-to-one with what the market is doing at the time. But by staying on top of that and really paying attention to what you're seeing over and over again in the marketplace, you can start to get an idea of what is working out there. Now, in the context of other marketing, it helps to actually review two kinds of marketing messages. And the first is competitive. Of course, as you're diving into any project, you are going to benefit from looking at what the top 10 competitors are doing right now, what their most recent promotions out in the marketplace are. And so if you are, let's say, working with a client as a freelance copywriter, it helps you to ask your client, say, you know, who are your top competitors and what advertising have you seen from them lately? Can you send me copies of that so I can review it? You can look at all the different items that show up between those different competitors, and those are going to start to represent things that you should make sure that you include in your marketing and advertising. You can look at the offers that they're all putting out in the marketplace and how that might inform the offers that you're going to make. You're going to look at everything you can about competitors and what they're doing the same, and use that as a starting point for some of the items that you know you're going to need to include in your message. You can also, in reviewing competitive advertising, start to recognize, okay, I'm going to make this prediction and nobody out there is making it right now. So this, you know, it could be bad, it could be good, but it could be a big opportunity by doing something different. So by reviewing competitive marketing, you can also recognize opportunities to be different and unique and put out a message that will surprise your market and get attention because of that. And then there's another type of marketing that's worth reviewing, which is complementary, non-competing advertising. So, for example, when I was selling IT training, some of the competitive marketing that we might have reviewed would have been other people who were selling IT training videos online, other people who were selling IT training videos through direct mail, people who were selling IT training boot camps and programs where you actually went and did the training in person, people who were selling books that spoke to many of the same topics. Those might have been considered competitive marketing, more or less so. But there are other complementary, non-competing marketing messages going out to the same audience. So somebody that is selling a product on IT career skills, or somebody who is selling specific hardware or software to those same people, somebody who's selling a similar price point product to those same people, someone who is selling career training in a different field that may provide some insights into how to sell career training rather than how to sell to IT professionals. So these are examples of complementary, non-competing advertising that you can look at as you are developing your message for either ideas of what you should do or what you shouldn't do, or where you can insert a new breakthrough concept or idea. So again, we're researching beliefs here, and Amazon is absolutely a great place to research, because Amazon represents the world's, and here I'm talking Amazon.com, represents the world's largest buying platform online that you can easily get access to. And so by searching on Amazon around your topic, you can find books and information being sold to your market about your topic. You can find competitive products. You can find complementary, non-competing products. You can You can look at everything that's on Amazon and recognize that that's all put there in the context of a sales transaction that is going to take place. And that will give you a lot of context into what the market is interested in, what the market responds to, what the market spends money because of. And when you're on Amazon, when you're doing your research, you're going to want to look at other popular products in your space. If you're selling information, it certainly helps to look at books in your space, because books represent information that people are buying around your topic. If you are selling a physical product, you can look at the other popular best-selling products in your product category or that your prospects would be buying. You can look at how those are presented. You can look at how they're marketed. You can look at, whether the presentation is more visual or uses more words. You can look into all sorts of information about how popular products are succeeding. Also, going back to the beliefs that we're talking about, it's very important to look at product reviews. The way that people in your market are responding to other products and services that exist in your market can tell you two really important things. It can tell you what people love and what needs to be spoken to get people really excited about your product or service, whatever it is you're selling. Also, product reviews can point out holes in the market. If you see a consistent complaint across a number of buyers that people are not getting what they want out of a specific product, then that can tell you a point of differentiation that you can put into your product, that you can put into your offer, that you can put into your marketing messaging, that you can use to support your big idea to get people more likely to respond. You can also use surveys, and I recommend Ryan Levesque's Ask method as a great starting point for understanding how to use surveys to really get a grasp around what your product can do for your market, what challenges and problems you can help them solve. I think the Ask methodology is especially relevant if you are going to be speaking to an urgent problem that people have so that you can really understand it. The Ask methodology was built from reactive demand fulfillment, from recognizing demand in a marketplace and presenting it. And Ryan and people who've applied it alongside Ryan have certainly found ways to also apply it in the context of presenting new opportunities and making predictions and using it with the other big idea foundational principles or the three big ideas that I've spoken to. But Ask is really about recognizing a problem or challenge that your market is facing so that you can solve it for them. There are other types of surveys, but in general, I believe that the Ask methodology is the most useful, actionable way to use surveys to really understand your market in a way that you can translate into product and marketing message creation. And then talk to them. It's one thing to be able to go through all this impersonal research and to develop all sorts of ideas about what your marketing message needs to say for you to be able to be as successful as possible in capturing their interest. But the single best way that you can actually see if you are capturing the interest of members of your target market with your message is to go out and try it on them, to go have a barstool conversation with them, to really start to understand what it is that they're interested in and speak to them about that, and then get that direct one-on-one feedback from them, even if it's just watching how they react to what it is that you're saying. And now I want to talk about how we're going to steer belief to generate response. So it's one thing to understand the conversation that's already going on in their head. It's another thing entirely to start to transition it from, okay, I'm presenting the problem or my prediction or this new opportunity in the context of your current beliefs and the conversation going on in your head. Now, how do I get you on board with that and get you interested in whatever product or service I am going to present? And this really is the crux of great copywriting. To be able to take someone from that moment where they are willing to give you attention and where they have a little bit of interest in the beginning of your message up to the point where they are on your side, where they're nodding their head, where they are agreeing with what it is that you have to say, and where they are ready, willing, and able to respond to the offer that you put in front of them. And so if you're going to steer that belief in the direction of the offer that you're putting out into the marketplace, you have to ask yourself, what limiting beliefs and objections will I have to overcome to make the sale? So, and this is worth spending significant time with, having a mastermind brainstorming session or a team brainstorming session around these particular topics, because the better you are able to recognize these different objections that are going to come up, the more you will be able to address them in your copy and transition into their mind state after you've overcome the limiting beliefs, after you've helped them work through the objections, such that they're then able to respond. So what limiting beliefs and objections will I have to overcome to make the sale? What must my prospect believe to feel comfortable moving forward? So, they have a certain set of beliefs that they come to your sales message with, but they're not going to move forward with a level of comfort, conviction, confidence, unless you move them into a new set of beliefs, that you help them establish the base of beliefs such that moving forward with your product or service is their best course of action. So what must they believe to feel comfortable moving forward? What must they believe about the problem that they have, the urgent problem that they have? What must they believe about the 10x better opportunity? What must they believe about the imminent prediction? And then what must they believe about your ability to help them move forward from that situation? And then you should be able to narrow that down, prioritize their limiting beliefs, their objections, and the beliefs that they have to feel comfortable moving forward. You should be able to prioritize until you get to that one core belief that, if you're able to instill it in your prospects, suddenly makes response inevitable. And so in the case of an urgent problem, it is that the belief is almost always that you provide the best solution to that problem for them, for their buying criteria. And so if you speak to an urgent problem that they're having and you present a solution and your reasons why it is the best solution available to them, well, that's the core belief that if you can instill it in your prospect, it makes response inevitable. If you have a 10x better opportunity that you are presenting to them that they get excited about, the core belief about that 10x better opportunity is going to be that you are uniquely able to help them take advantage of that opportunity and make the most of it. If you're making an imminent prediction of a life-changing event, the core belief that you're going to have to instill in your prospect is that, yes, this is going to happen and it's going to be something that you are going to have to respond to. And I have the best response for that. And if you can narrow it down and really focus on what that one core belief is, and you're able to instill it in your prospect, you will make response inevitable. You will get response from your copywriting. Now, it's also important as we're developing our message to really think about the features and benefits of the product. And I want to teach you a process that I got from Clayton Makepeace here called the dimensionalized benefits technique. And really this goes beyond features and benefits, which is the traditional way that marketers are taught about how to present a product. People don't buy features, they buy benefits. The features are what your product is, the benefits are what it does. But a really effective direct response copywriter will go beyond features and benefits and really go deep about the impact that will have on the prospect's life. And the way that you do this is you can create a mind map, you can create a spreadsheet, you can create, you can start scribbling this on paper. But what you're going to do is you're going to ask a progressive series of questions that helps you understand the reasons why and the impact of the different features of a product. So first you ask, what are the features of my product or service? And let's imagine, just for the sake of this illustration, that you're creating a mind map. So you start with your product or service in the middle, and then for the main branches of the mind map, you list all of the features of your product or service. And there might be 3 main features, 5 main features, 10 main features, whatever it is. What are the features of my product or service? And then what does my product or service do? So because of each of those features, what does it do? Like what does the feature enable? So, just for example, a car, a feature of your internal combustion car might be that it has a muffler, so it's able to drive down the street quietly. So what does it do? What's the benefit of that? So what do you get out of the product or service doing something in particular? The benefit of being able to drive down the street quietly is that you're not waking up the whole neighborhood from your loud exhaust. I know that this is probably a very old example when first off, internal combustion was the car of the day. Today it's electric cars, and before that, cars that were just running very noisy up and down the streets of every town in America. But what's the benefit of being able to drive down the street quietly? You're not a nuisance to the people who you are driving by. You're able to have a conversation in the car. You're able to listen to music in the car, whatever the benefit of that is. Now, why is that important? So, the why being able to drive cars up and down the streets quietly was important in a time where it wasn't common was it made cities quieter places to live, to work, to be in. It made it, less intense to be walking up and down a city street with traffic. How will that change my life in the next 1 year, 3 years, 10 years? What positive, broader impact will the benefit have on the person's life? And then what is the ultimate impact on my wealth, health, relationships, and life experience from there? So by going through and going one level deeper and one level deeper and one level deeper, you're going to start to recognize that there are critically important points that you can make that might not be obvious. So, for example, a investment research service that has monthly updates about the specific stocks that they cover, well, that is very different than a one-time report that you download about companies that are exciting in today's market. And how is it going to change your life in 1 year, 3 years, 10 years to Have someone staying on top of your portfolio on a monthly basis for you, telling you which stocks you should buy more shares of, which ones you should dump, which ones, you should take profits on. How will that impact your wealth, your health, your relationships, your life experience? Are you going to have a more secure retirement because you stayed on top of your portfolio on a monthly basis and you had that expert guidance to not only help you be in the best investments, but to invest in the best investments in the best way? Will that mean that you can send your grandkids to college? Will that, what will that mean to you? And so thinking about all these things with this depth and dimension really helps you present what the impact is of investing in something like a monthly essay on stocks. That investing in a monthly essay on stocks is very different than investing in your financial security, even though the same product can be presented in both ways. And that's what this dimensionalized benefits technique is designed to help you find. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of finding the idea and how you present it. And we talked about the three kinds of big ideas. We talked about the urgent problem, the 10x opportunity, and the imminent prediction. We talked about beliefs and how they relate to how you're going to present that. We talked about the features and dimensionalized benefits of your product and how that all contributes to the message that you are going to eventually write, put down on paper quickly. And there's one more thing that you can do that is called the impact filter. And I got this from Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach. And he uses it to really understand the impact of a particular project on his life, but you can also use it as a selling tool. And it's actually used in one-to-one selling as well to help your prospect make a decision. But you can use this as a way to really put yourself in the right mindset such that you're able to really sit down and crank out copy that really hits at the heart of your target market. So the way that the impact filter works is you really just answer a series of questions, and it can fit on one page, and it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does set you up in a really positive and strong and effective way to speak to how your urgent problem that you can solve, the 10x opportunity that you're going to introduce them to, the imminent prediction that you're going to make, how that is going to have an impact on their life. And so it starts with a basic description of the opportunity, prediction, or problem. And then you make a purpose statement. What general outcome would the prospect want in the context of this? So what's the outcome that they want in response to the problem, the opportunity, or the prediction? Why is that important? What's the biggest difference this will make? And that comes from your dimensionalized benefits technique. That comes from really trying to understand not just the features and benefits of the product, but how it changes their life for the long term. What's the ideal outcome? In a perfect world, what does the ideal result of responding to your marketing message look like for them? What's the ideal outcome that they're going to get in their life? What are the success criteria? What has to be true for your prospect to feel that they got the best of the situation, that they got the best response to the urgent problem that they were facing, that they got the best, that they were able to take advantage of the new 10x opportunity in the best possible way, that they responded and were prepared for the prediction in the best possible way? How do they know that? What's the success criteria? What has to be true both in their external life and existence and in their internal experience of that? What's the worst result? What happens if the prospect doesn't take action? This can come in handy, especially as you are trying to close the sale and get them to take action. What's the worst result? What happens if they don't take action, if they don't respond to the situation at hand? And then what's the best result? What happens if the prospect does take action? This is generally a very quick statement of this. It doesn't have to be long, but what's the best result that they can get as a result of taking action? And so as you've gone through all of this, now it's time to finalize your big idea. So are we solving an urgent problem? What do we need to say to solve the urgent problem? How does that define the message that we are going to put forward? Or are we offering a 10x better opportunity? What does that mean for our presentation, for what we're going to say? Or are we making an imminent prediction of something to come that the prospect is going to have to respond to because it's going to change their life, whether they take action or not? So again, narrow it down. What's the problem? What's the opportunity? What's the prediction? Pick that one thing that is going to move them, that's going to stir up an emotional response, and that is going to logically and practically require them to respond to it. And once you have gotten to this, I've heard it said that top copywriters will spend up to 80% of their time writing an ad, just writing the headline. And I think that that's a limited perspective when we think about this in the context of high velocity copywriting. When we think about this in the context of high velocity copywriting, it's not that the world's best copywriters spend 80% of their time actually writing the specific headline that goes into, that is the words on page at the top of an ad or sales letter, or the first words in their video sales letter. It's that they spend 80% of their time finding this right idea, really nailing down the biggest big idea. And that time can be spent spinning your wheels because you haven't really focused and identified the problem, opportunity, or prediction. That time can be spent figuring out the best way to present the problem, opportunity, or prediction. It can be spent in all sorts of different activities that represent the actual clarification of whatever this big idea is. And that's where the best copywriters do spend 80% of their time, because everything else, once you've gotten, whatever the urgent problem or the 10x opportunity or the imminent prediction are, once you've gotten those things, then you actually, it's so much easier to move forward from there. And this is where you are going to experience high velocity copywriting. Once you have really nailed this down, it sets up everything else that we are going to cover, such that it's all secondary to really nailing down this one big idea. All right, just a quick reminder. Please use the questions functionality of the BTMS Insider player. And please use the rate and review function so that others know what you've gotten out of this and how it's going to help you with your marketing and building your business going forward. So feel free to use both those functionalities. I really want to underscore that is how both you and other people who are considering this training, both members and potential members, can get the most out of it. So again, we have just talked about, wow, that's once we zoom out, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about finding your message and how that impacts everything going forward as you apply high velocity copywriting. And I look forward to diving into your next training with you here soon. Thank you very much.